All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We will get started just at the top of the hour. We're just going to let folks join in. Give everyone a few minutes, but welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll get started in just a moment at the top of the hour. All right, it is time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar. My name is Nicole Keeson and I am the event marketing specialist here at Consensus. And I am going to be your moderator for today's session. So this webinar is presented by Consensus, Transform How You Sell with Consensus, the first product experience platform. Automate demos, drive faster decisions, and accelerate growth. And you can learn more at goconsensus.com. So before we start, we have two very quick and exciting announcements. The first one is that we will be in San Francisco for DemoFest X on February 20th. And you can register at demofest.com or the link that I will post in the chat in just a moment. And then we are also very excited to announce the Demis, which will take place in just 2 short days on December 12th. And you can join us for an event that celebrates the art of the perfect demo. So you can watch the most innovative demos, get tips from top performers, and see who takes home the awards. So you can RSVP in the next link that I will post in the chat in just a moment. And now, just a few housekeeping items. So we do encourage you to participate in today's webinar. Our speaker will answer any questions at the close of the event, but you are welcome to post your questions at any time through the Q&A box that'll be on the right side of your console. So if at any time you have any technical difficulties, press the help button on the right side of your screen and we will get you sorted out. And with that, I would now like to introduce our speaker. Leslie Ronaldson is an inspirational sales leader at Gong, where she drives transformative sales strategies as the Vice President of EMEA Sales. With a career spanning over nearly 3 decades, Leslie specializes in optimizing sales performance through data-driven insights and strategic initiatives that empower teams to exceed targets. Known for her dynamic leadership and commitment to innovative revenue growth, she has a proven track record of helping organizations adopt a proactive approach to sales, enabling them to understand their customers more deeply and convert insights into action. So in this session of A Better Way to Revenue, Leslie will delve into strategies that have transformed Gong's EMEA region, sharing practical insights and success stories that any revenue leader can apply to accelerate growth. So, and with that, I will turn the rest of the time over to you, Leslie.
Thanks, Nicole. Just going to share my screen really quickly. So good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the intro. So today I'm going to talk about a better way to revenue, and it's no surprises that the answer is going to be AI. I'm going to give you a little bit of a journey on how we've used Gong in EMEA and globally and across over 4,000 customers to find more revenue. So let's talk about what's going on in today's world. I think taking products to market is more complex than ever. In the last decade, there's been a 2x increase in the variety of touch points used by B2B buyers on a customer journey. And yet customers want seamless buying experiences, and over half of them switch if they don't feel there's a connection or the experience is good, according to McKinsey in a report in 2024. Because of this, I think more and more leaders are expected to orchestrate data-driven workflows across multiple teams. And it's no surprises like Chief Revenue Officer, Chief Growth Officer, and Head of Go-to-Market Sales have been the fastest growing jobs in the US. So let's talk about, next slide. So let's talk about how this has created an opportunity for change and a better way for revenue. So there's lots of challenges today across sales teams. So the first one is seller productivity, according to Forrester, is at an all-time low. This stat gives me heartburn. 77% of sellers' time is spent on non-selling activities, which means Thursday at 2 o'clock, your salespeople are only just starting to make money. Their time is spent on updating CRM, giving forecasts to their manager, one-to-ones, creating meeting documents, etc., etc. A lot of mundane work. Using manually inputting data creates visibility gaps as well. And that can also reduce the predictability. So also, no surprises here, according to Forrester, 79% of organizations miss their revenue forecast. And then the lack of visibility and predictability leads to challenges within your revenue growth. Only a third of sellers are hitting their target, according to RepVue in 2023. And I think when sellers don't attain, it causes it causes a lot more issues within your organization, like morale, people, leaving, you've got high attrition, et cetera, et cetera. You just don't want to have that kind of high rate of turnover. I think leaders have a really short window to prove themselves and also fix these things. The average tenure at the moment for your CRO is about 18 months. So you really got to figure out what you want to do and how you're going to fix it. So it's no surprise that I'm going to tell you today, I think AI is the answer. Today, there's over 2,000 technology vendors for sales and revenue technology, or AI. And the AI market is going to be 1.7 trillion by 2030, which is an insane stat. I think AI holds incredible promise for productivity, predictability, and growth. And I also think every organization knows they need to embrace AI. They're just not sure where to start. And I think we talk about this a lot, that leaders are struggling with AI FOMO or AI FOMO. So fear of missing out versus fear of missing up. And I think what it comes down to is you really need to have the correct kind of AI strategy. And your strategy is only as good as the data that you have behind it. Today, most people are running their businesses on CRM, which is like a manual input. It's subjective. You really need to have three things correct for here. You need to have quantity. So do you have enough data? Quality. Do you have objective, trustworthy data? So for AI to work well, you need to make sure your data set is bias-free. And this only happens when your data is firsthand. So I'll give you an example. If I have a conversation with a customer or a prospect, it's usually about 6,000 words, and maybe 30 to 60 of those words will go into CRM. That's only 1% of what happened. And we all know about those reps that have happy ears. So it's really, really important that your data is not subjective. And then finally, context. So is the data meaningful to your specific business? And I think only once you have that, you can start to move the needle in your org and really then use the AI to focus on productivity, predictability, and growth, which you're going to hear me mention a lot. So let's talk about how AI and Gong in specifically has done this within EMEA and globally, and as I said, across over 4,500 customers. So from a productivity perspective, I think as the older I get, I'm obsessed with time and I want to get time back as much as possible. So let's see how we can use it within Gong. So within Gong, we have used it across three areas. So the first one was process. We were able to create consistent buyer behaviors and best practices based on data-backed insights. So what does that look like? Within Gong, we can look at any particular moment in time, and this is the last quarter within my team, and I can see within every stage of the sales cycle what my conversion rates were, how long we're spending. We can also do this by AE, by team, or by region in a particular moment in time. And I can see this can give me actual data-backed insights on where I need to change my process. So for example here, my discovery win rate is 55.7%, and I'm converting at about 82. I would like to get that a little bit higher. So I probably double down and look at the questions I'm asking my discovery, or what particular individuals or AEs or even SDRs are spending a lot more time there. Second thing we can do, and I don't think this is kind of new news, but the buying team has changed. I remember when I used to sell, and it would have been back in the 90s and noughties, you would deal with one person, they would sign the check and the deal was done. Now it's on average, it says minimum 4 people, but actually LinkedIn tells us there's about 5.7 people in any buying cycle. And you're hearing anything from, we've got to go to a workers' council, or this goes to a buying committee, and the buying committee only meets once a month. We need procurement involved. There's multiple signatures. It's getting tougher and tougher. But how can Gong help you? So we're able to look at all your interactions across all your teams and all your deals in a particular moment and tell you what was working. So here we can see within this period, all our deals closed at a higher win rate where there was 10 or more calls. Like, there's no surprises there. Yes, you can have lots of Zooms and lots of emails, but when you're going back and forth with the customer, you're obviously going to win bigger. And that's pretty important. Again, you can do this on an individual level. So it's very helpful when you've got new hires ramping or you're coaching particular performance. You can also look at power in deal. Again, no surprises here. Internally at Gong, we win at a higher win rate when we're engaging VP, or even C-level and above. Why this is important is because you need to know who your buying personas are, and also you need to get the people in power. Again, the buying cycle has changed. A live example of this was in 2023, towards the end of 2023, early 2024. We noticed that RevOps had definitely entered the chat. And as people were moving to consolidation and looking to buy less tech stack, they had less budget. They were trying to consolidate their tech stack. RevOps had become part of the buying team. This was not a persona we had focused on before in Gong. We were focusing on heads of sales and enablement, etc. So we had our head of RevOps deliver a fireside chat to our sales teams. Here's how you sell to me. Here's the phrases I use. Here's what I want to hear. Then we had a battle card created for the sales teams. And then we made sure that every single deal over 50K had a RevOps persona on it, or we had at least engaged the RevOps persona. We managed to increase our win rates by 17%, and the largest deal signed in 2024 in Gong EMEA was signed by a head of RevOps. He's been a wonderful champion for us, by the way. And then lastly, again, no surprises here, but this will give you the number of contacts. So Gong will show you, based on a particular moment in time, how many people affected your win rates. So we know here that when we do about 4 more buyers, we have a 48% win rate. So that just enables you to go deeper on the deals. No spreadsheets, no CRM. This is real live data, and it's not subject. Then the last piece is new narratives. So as the buying circle gets harder and the landscape becomes a little bit more competitive, lots of customers are changing up their narrative or their messaging or how they're focusing, how they're pitching their product. So in Gong, we have pitched a new messaging. We did it last year, and we're reiterating it again for this year. And what we've done is we have trained our whole company globally. Now, in any other company before I've worked in, we roll out initiatives all the time. And one may say, well, how do you know it's working? You kind of don't. But at Gong, we are able to do this. So I'm going to talk to you about smart trackers. So smart trackers use AI to identify and surface concepts, not keywords. So these help us accelerate or decelerate deals. So for example, if you track the concept of discount, a smart tracker will surface mentions as, can we get a better price? What's the best deal? Whereas most others would rely on exact match keyword trackers, which are less reliable. Another example is I could be talking to Nicole, as a prospect, and I might say to her, oh, what's the price of a pint where you live? And she might say the price is this, and I'll talk about the price in Dublin, and it's so expensive. Our smart trackers will know this is not talking about price of a deal, whereas other competitors would pick that up as a good sign the price was mentioned. We have smart trackers across Gong for many, many things. And here's an example of some of the things I track. So I tracked next steps, demo, CS handoffs, etc. We can also check smart trackers at any particular moment within a deal. So you can see here, you can check within your discovery. So for me, I would be checking in discovery if they're talking about competitors. I like them to mention competitors early on. And I also like them to mention pricing, as we move through the journey. So smart trackers will enable you to keep an eye on the conversations your team are having at a massive level. Here's a live example. So back in February 2023 or 2024, we actually changed our messaging. So we had been leading with, pitching the product and talking about Gong and talking about AI. And we actually switched it up and said, why don't we talk about why should a customer change or a prospect change, and maybe ask them more questions. So we trained the whole sales team on talking about this why change narrative. And you can see by setting up a smart tracker, we were able to track the adoption of this new messaging across a period of time. So you can see here, early February, we were around 38%. And then by the end of the time in April, the team were doing it at 82%. So what, you say? It worked. Tell me more. You can go a level deeper and check this by team. So we had 2 talk tracks, why change? And for existing customers, why Gong? Why stay with Gong? So I can press a button and see here across all my sales teams, who is adopting this? We had given the team a target of about 60%. So I can say here, okay, Dave's team, they're at 47%. Tell me more. Press a button. I can see the individuals of where they are and go, okay, Anna is at 33. Press a button. Tell me more. You can see here on this week, Anna took 6 calls. She mentioned the new talk track on 2, but not on 4. And here's the 4 that it wasn't mentioned on. So automatically here you have a training moment in time. So yes, the new messaging has been rolled out. People have been trained on it, but are they using it? Here's a moment to say, hey, Anna, you probably need a little bit of work here. Why not listen to Kate's calls where she did it really well? Also, when it comes to refresher training, you're not taking a whole sales floor off the floor to refresh them. You'll say, okay, anybody who's maybe at a certain percentage, we will retrain them instead. So this has been really, really helpful. Fun fact, we actually have smart trackers for lots of things across Gong. And I can tell you that when a prospect uses bad language first, we actually close at a higher win rate. And last year, our highest booking rep in EMEA, his customers were the worst for using swear words. We also make sure that we are tracking smart trackers all the time. So we have Gong Labs. So Gong Labs is where we publish all our findings with our data research team. We analyze sales conversations using all of Gong's revenue intelligence platform, and we share the results with on LinkedIn, with prospects, and with customers. We check about 446 million deals across 357 million calls and 2.5 million emails, to be exact, to give us some statistics. So what we know is when we use smart trackers within a sales team, they have a 35% higher win rate. Next, let's talk about productivity. So again, we heard the stat at the start that 77% of sellers' time is spent on non-revenue generating activities. We really want to make sellers' lives easier. We want to supercharge what they're doing and give them time back. So how do we do this? So first of all, within Gong, we can do AI-generated call highlights. So what this does is after a call, I'm going to show you an image of this now. We can give you a summary of what that call looked like with highlights from things that are interesting. So this is a real call. This is me doing an actual demo submission to our CRO. So all the leaders within Gong submit demos all the time, and we like to stay fresh, and we do competitions and we check. So this is my actual demo submission. And you can see here the brief of what I talked about, my key points. There's a transcript as well if I want to see it. And then I can also pop comments, that's to my CRO saying, here's my demo submission. And then other people can look at it as well. So this is really handy. I actually don't really have time to listen to calls in my job, but it's very helpful for me to go in and just have a look at what the highlights were. If we're running large deals at any particular time, I may check in on the call that happened during the day to see what was discussed. The next way we can save time for a salesperson is by doing AI-generated email. So after every call that's recorded, we can send an accurate follow-up email, which will include the summary, the discussion items, and the next steps. So I'm actually going to show you live. If we take the example of my demo call, you hit that button, generate follow email, and automatically it will spit out a full email for you to send to a customer. You can then go back in and check the email. You can copy the link, send the customer the call. You can see the next steps. You can also use templates. So we have lots of templates internally, which will enable you to give you some inspiration, or if maybe there was a particular event that you wanted to attach on, there's inspiration as well. And it saves a lot of time. Internally, I also use this. So I would record a lot of my meetings internally. For example, a 3 or 4 hour QBR, I will record it on Gong. And then once the QBR is finished, hit the button to generate an email, and I would have a full summary of what we discussed in the meeting, the next steps, the action points, and the owners. And even better, if somebody was out that day, I can say, hey, we had a 4 hour QBR, maybe just listen to these parts, which is relevant for you. That's very, very helpful. And finally, the last piece, which is AI-generated insights. So we have an Ask Me Anything within Gong, which will talk about a deal, an account, and coming soon, a contact. So these are demo examples. But within here, you can say, help me coach the AE to win this deal. So what Gong will do, it will go across all interactions across the account, from maybe prospecting, SDR, all outreaches, all emails, all conversations, all Zoom conversations. It will tell you what you need to do to win the deal. Or you could say, I'm going to meet a customer for one of my salespeople. I need a brief. So rather than saying to the salesperson, hey, I'm meeting one of your customers, can you type me up a Word document? Can you tell me what you've discussed? You can type into Gong, I'm meeting a CRO, give me what I need to know. And it will tell you what you should speak about. This has been very helpful for me as I'm managing deals. Often I'll say to my salesperson, if a deal is lost, why do you think you lost the deal? And they'll say, oh, I lost it on price. But actually, when you ask Gong, why was the deal lost? It will give you a little bit more of a deeper meaning. So this has really, really helped us to coach reps. A live example of this was back in Q2, one of my German reps was running a deal, pretty significant. It was about 90K. He said, I'm really struggling. And I said, okay, ask Gong anything, ask the AMA, what do I need to do to win this deal? And Gong said, to win this deal, it would be helpful for you to present a one-pager to the CFO. So what had happened, Gong had looked at all interactions across all customers and all German customers within the industry we were selling to, and seen a pattern of win rates being increased when a one-pager was presented. So the sales rep created a one-pager, presented to the CFO, and then the deal was signed. It is not something that we would have thought to have done or I would have suggested, but the AMA really helped us there. Again, back to smart trackers. So back to Gong Labs, when we adopt Gong's AI generated actions and help, we actually have 50% increased win rates. And also, when we use the Ask Me Anything, we see our win rates increase by 26%. The AMA has really helped us see around corners and definitely helped us coach reps to be much, much better at their job. And then finally, predictability. This is really, really important because I think a lot of sales leaders are measured on this. I know personally for me, one of my KPIs is predictability within my forecast to be within 10% of the number. And Gong has certainly helped me do this. So first of all, it helps me identify risks in my deal. So I get a true visibility that I can address with all my deals within a forecast. At any one time, there could be hundreds of deals across my sales floor, and it's very difficult for me to know where to go. So by using Gong, and this is a deal board, it's obviously a customized deal board from our demo environment. But you can see here across the top what deals are in commit, most likely and best case, and that's how we forecast internally. So I would say here, there's 700K to come in, but here's the deals I want to have a look at. You can look at your full pipeline coverage. So here's the names of the deals. The AI will give you a deal score, and which I'll show you in a second. And there's also warnings in particular deals, which I'll also walk through in a second. You can see the activity on the account. So purple dots are Gong, pink is a prospect. So are we busy? Are we talking? The amount of the deal. And then lastly, you can see who is working on the deal. So if you've got a solution engineer or a solution architect or professional services, I can see who's on the deal. Often I will look here and say, hey, there should be more people here. And then finally, you can insert playbooks into Gong, which I'll cover off in a second. So as I said, if this was real life, there's 27 deals here. Where would I go to? What would I inspect first? I think automatically people will go, I'm going to look at the top deals, but really you should look at the ones that have warnings in them. And these are the AI warnings, or the ones with low scores. So let's look at the first one. So Bitforge has a likelihood score of 19. So Gong is saying, based on what the AI is saying, so it's been single threaded. We know we need to speak to more than 4 people. And there's only one person here, one contact. Bitforge didn't use their webcam much. So Gong Labs tells us when customers don't turn on their webcam, it's a low intent to buy. And worst of all, there's been a red flag detected in an email. Again, in any other company I worked in, I wouldn't know this unless I'd said to the AE, can I see your emails? Or had gone through their CRM and read the emails. So let's go a level deeper. There's 3 warnings here on this deal. First of all, the red flag email, which the score has alluded to. It's missing a director, and we know in a particular time we need to be dealing with director or VP plus, and single threaded, which we know, which is not a good thing. So the red flag email, let's have a look. So the email says, I'm so sorry to the late stage, but shifts in priority, we're going to have to delay this partnership. So this deal is definitely not coming in. It's the top deal on my deal board and it's in commit. It is not coming in. So what I would do here is I'd have the manager address with the salesperson and say, hey, you're only dealing with Mike. How do we get in front of a director? How can we surpass this guy? What are the priorities that have shifted? How can we how can we find a compelling event? How can we get this deal back on track? And you can actually get deep in with the salesperson. Usually the rep may just move this deal out, or even worse, leave it in so your pipeline is inflated. This one has been a game changer for me and enabled me to manage a massive amount of deals across a big sales floor and see risk before they even happen. You can also bring your own sales methodology to Gong. So I had showed that earlier on the deal board. So we use Medic here at Gong. Again, back in the olden days when we used to use Medic, you would have had to type each element into your Salesforce or your CRM, so metrics, economic buyer. And a lot of the time I wouldn't, you'd be typing in kind of cut, copy, paste, or whatever your manager wanted to see. But through Gong, we can pull this into a deal board, and it can pull from the AI the particular information or the elements of that playbook. So let's take a look at Excelix, for example. So Excelix, when you go into the Medic, you just click into the side, it shows the playbook. You can see here that the D hasn't been uncovered. If it's been verified, it's blue, but if it's white, it hasn't. But there's a little purple star which tells me, yeah, there's a suggested note. So here's what they're suggesting. The decision criteria is here. They need a solution to meet their budget constraints. They want to provide a strong ROI and also address the security requirements. That sounds like a pretty strong criteria to me. So you'd hit copy and then that's done. We use this in every single deal review. So the AE can walk into a deal review. They don't have to prepare, no notes, no typing on a Word doc, no typing into a CRM. We have them open up their deal board, open up their playbook, and we're straight into Medic. Okay, where are we? Is this correct? Let's double check. What's the AI saying? And again, it helps us see around corners. This one's been really, really powerful. You can also customize this for whatever methodology you want to go with, but we're a Medic house here. You'll also see we have 3 Cs. So when we rolled out Medic originally, we did notice a pattern on across the sales floor that a lot of the sales reps were using the end of quarter as a compelling event. I think the learning here was end of quarter is not a customer's compelling event, it's yours. So we've actually added in a compelling event of why the customer would buy. So a compelling event for us is there's a renewal, or they're with a competitor, or they're hiring more people, or they have additional budget, etc. The next thing is forecasting. So we use Gong as well to pressure test and forecast our number using AI projected forecast projections. So again, using the AI, it's building up intent signals, buying signals, warnings, etc. So the email, for example, that came on that deal I've just showed you, that would pull that deal out of my forecast automatically, even if the rep hasn't. So you can see here, we can forecast at our fingertips. The AEs can fill in their forecast and it will roll up to the manager. You can see what their target attainment is, their pipeline coverage versus their commit. No more spreadsheets, no more chasing people, no more trying to add things up. It's all done in the one area. You can also see here that there's a projection. So the forecast by Gong is given in purple, or given in the pink. You can see the manager's forecast is in blue, and then the team forecast is in amber. So there's no surprises. The team forecast has stayed pretty stagnant, although the manager is saying, well, actually, my forecast is probably going to dip a little here in this week because, certain deals have moved. However, Gong is picking up, manager, it's actually going to be a bit lower based on the deals that you have. You can also see your deals broken out, actual sales, deals in commit, deals are most likely, best case, and then some that have a low likelihood. For me here, just from a glance of an eye, my question is, what happened here? There was lots of deals in commit. Yes, some moved into close, but you definitely lost some deals. So there's something happened in this week, and you probably need to bring your forecast down again. So let's have a look at it on a team view. So this is a particular team. You can see everyone rolling into the CRO. Again, this is a demo version. And here, a particular AE, you can see their forecast in for the week, but there's been a change. Their forecast has come down by 300K. Again, if you were tracking this on a spreadsheet, you'd have to be tracking it week over week to see changes on an individual level. And in fact, in this particular environment or this demo, they've all called their number down that week. So not a great week for this particular company. So let me just show you on a deeper level. So you can click into the AE's forecast. Then you can go into, there's an open text box where the AE can write in some notes. So you can see on her forecast, ABC Limited pushed to September, some help is needed. So you can see there's a change in her forecast of 350K, but she's asking for help. I'll bridge some of my miss with 4 deals. I'm going to invite some of my customers to a London event. So this is a really good place to kind of talk about your forecast, but you also want your AE to come with, some work done in the background and some research. So you can check in there. Then you can also look at the different number, and then you can also look at it broken down by month. And then you can look at the deals. Again, this will bring up the live deal board. So you're not moving to different spreadsheets. You're staying in the one particular view. So when you go into the forecast, you can look at the live deal board. And again, you can look at that across all deals. This is probably my favorite part of Gong. So in every company I've worked in, pipeline is an absolute focus. I always say pipeline is lifeline. And in every company I've worked in, it seems to be a weekly kind of target, and every AE has a KPI of you got to find a 100K pipeline, this week, or 200K pipeline a month. Within Gong, yes, we know we're hitting our pipeline targets, but also what I think we don't measure, or we haven't measured in other companies, is what's happening in the back end. So Gong will enable you to open up your forecast deal board and have a look at changes. So here's a change on the pipeline. So you can see, again, this is a demo. This may have been a great pipeline week for this person, for David Black. He may have hit his 100K as a team, or his $1 million pipeline target. But actually, when you go deeper, you can see 800K actually pushed out. So yes, lots of net new pipeline found. However, 800K pushed out and 172K amount increased. So some deals went up and some deals moved into open deals. So there's lots of movement within pipeline. Where I go here is you can double click on the deals that were pushed out, and you can actually drill down and go through each deal to understand why. It's very difficult to do this on a spreadsheet, and it's very difficult to do this in a CRM. I would always advise, if you're managing AEs or account managers, this is definitely a focus within your one-to-one. So yeah, you had a great week last week. You uncovered 100K, brilliant. Let's have a look at those large deals within the 100K. However, what happened at the back end? What pushed out? What slipped? What's closed lost? What did you pull in? And also, why have these increased in amount or decreased? Because sometimes you'll see pattern of behaviors of reps saying, yeah, I hit my 100K pipeline this week, but then 5 weeks later, that 100K turns into 50. So it stops that bad behavior and that inflation or overinflation of putting pipeline in. And then finally, coaching. So it's really, really important for us in Gong to ensure that reps are being coached to be the best that they can be. And you can see here, we have coaching breakdown. So we would definitely want our managers to be listening to calls, and we would also encourage salespeople to listen to each other's calls as well. So this is a live scorecard from our SDR org, and you can see here, at this particular quarter, the manager had listened to 103 calls, and the conversation we had was, well, you've only listened to, this person was probably the highest performing SDR at the time. Why did you listen to the majority of his calls when these two people were new? So I'm able to look at where the manager is spending their time and maybe give them a little bit of direction on where they should be listening to, which is a little bit more important. You can also see how many calls were attended by the manager and how many calls he actually gave feedback. So you can do feedback. You can also give comments, and you can also fill in scorecards as well. And then finally, this is probably one of my favorite bits. At any moment in time, your sales floor can flex and there can be different focuses. So most recently, there was a particular team that we seem to be seeing a little bit of slippage on the deals. So the conversation was, I think there's something here. Are we locking in next steps? Are we making sure there's a call in the diary? So at any particular moment in time, I can set up an alert and I can have it sent to me daily, weekly, or immediately. Now, I'm not sure about immediately because I would have a very busy mailbox. And I can type in a particular word or phrase, and I can have it when it's said by the company, or said by the customer, or said by both. And I can have an email sent to me, and I usually get these on a Friday, showing me patterns of behavior across the floor. Things I like to use here is next steps. I'll also use discounting. And a most recent example is about 2 weeks ago, my French team came to me and said, hey, there's a competitor that keeps coming up on my calls. And I was like, really, I don't know if they're going to be, too much of a competitor. And they said, no, it keeps coming up. We're not sure, about the competitor. We don't have a battle card. We don't, we want to know a little bit more. So before I went to my marketing team for this suggestion, I set up this filter with the competitor phrase name and had the email sent to me daily. And by the end of the week, I had 14 examples of when the customer came up on a French call. And I was also able to hear how my team were handling that objection. It could have been stronger, I won't lie. So we went to the marketing team. They put together a battle card on that competitor. We trained the French team. And then I kept tracking to see, was it mentioned? And it was mentioned. And I was able to hear that they were much better at handling the objective and then moving away from that one. So it does enable you to dig really deeply within your sales interactions at any moment in time, and also have a full picture visibility. In Germany as well, We had some feedback from the team. They're saying, we're getting a lot of questions on GDPR. We're getting, questions on data center. What's the correct thing to say? And I said, oh, no problem. I'm going to set up an alert. I will then send it to my CISO team, and they were able to write us a really nice script. So when it came up, the reps were able to say, yes, GDPR is covered, or we work with workers' councils already, or, we're moving to an EU data center at the start of next year. So it really does help my sales reps become a little bit stronger, and also enables me to hear what's on the floor rather than listening to all the calls. I can just listen to a percentage. So you can see here on next steps, it was only mentioned, well, this is a good one. It's mentioned 78% on these calls. Now, I would love to hear next steps on 100%, but I think, 78 is pretty good. And then finally, within Gong, we are huge believers in, sharing best practices. So Gong is linked to our Slack, and this is a live example. So we share really good calls across the floor, and it can't be longer than a minute because we want to appreciate that people are busy. So what we'll do is we'll have the manager do a snippet of a call, and this is the call where the customer actually, he called her out for following Medic here because, she was actually really, really sticking to the true Medic. I think it's really important that we are our product and our buyers want to see how we're using the product. We'll also use this as well if someone messes up. I think it's good to be vulnerable and say, hey guys, would love your feedback on this call and what you think I could have done better. And for me, it creates a real creative tissue across the floor and definitely helps with tribal knowledge. We are hybrid in Gong, we're 3 days a week, but I think back to the days of where we're all sitting at home, and this is a great way to learn. So in a nutshell, why companies choose Gong? I think it's because we are the recognized revenue leader within AI. We are recognized in the Forrester Wave for revenue orchestration platform. We are the revenue intelligence platform within IDC MarketSpace, and within G2, we're the revenue operations and intelligence software. So we've been really, really lucky to be recognized by these people. Again, AI is at our core. We've used it for the last 9 years, and we are an end-to-end platform. So we haven't purchased other companies. We haven't bolted it on. It's all been built from the ground up. It's trusted by over nearly 4,500 organizations. So there's lots of common household names here, which we're really, really happy to work with. And then finally, we are really focused on delivering customer outcomes. So I think outcomes is definitely a word that we're using across the sales force. So yes, you can sell your product, but I think it's really important to say to the customer, like, what's in it for the customer. So we can drive, things such as win rate. We can drive your rep capacity. We can drive your forecast accuracy. We can assist with pipeline conversion, sales efficiency, revenue per rep, strategic initiatives, close rates, ramping people in quicker. And we have case studies with all these customers to show how we did that. Because again, when you're buying software, it's an expensive investment, and you want to make sure that when you're up for renewal, or when you're renewing us, that we want to make sure that you're going to renew with us, and we can say, hey, here's how Gong delivered outcomes for you, and what we agreed on that we were going to see, that you've worked with your customer success team, and we've been able to deliver that for you. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Nicole.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Leslie. That was really great content. So now we're going to open the floor for questions. So be sure to post your questions either in the chat or the Q&A on the right side of your console. We'll give everyone a minute to kind of start asking. But until then, Leslie, can you share some general trends that you're seeing in the market?
Yeah, I think look, AI is absolutely taken over. It's the word on everyone's lips. And I keep saying, if you're not on the AI train, it's probably left the station. I think there's also been really great studies that a lot of people are planning to implement AI over the next 12 months. And we've seen a massive growth of 29% who are going to do that, compared to 19% last year. I think some of the trends that we're seeing are the average revenue growth has reached 19% in 2024, which is up 11 in 2023. We're definitely seeing improved sales velocity and a focus on efficiency contributing to this growth. And I also think, and this is no surprises, but there's definitely a shift to sustainable growth. So organizations are prioritizing sustainability over, that kind of grow at all costs. And they want to be more efficient and I think operationally resilient and being really, really careful with their spend. I think the days of, hiring hundreds of people to riff them in 6 months' time are over. Like you just can't, you have to have a corporate responsibility. And I think that's why I like working at Gong, because it's data driven, and we're definitely like thinking about the future and our future growth and the future people that are in our company. We want them to feel that they have a future with us as well.
Awesome. Another question is, what should revenue strategy look like?
So this is like it's going to look different for most companies, and it's a real big question. And I think I talked a little bit about your AI strategies, your data strategy, but I think, and like I'm going to talk for Gong, and also I spent last week in London with so many customers, and I'm hearing the same thing. A lot of this revenue strategy is actually focusing on your existing customers, which we kind of forget. Like we tend to forget to it's all about like growing at all costs and hunting a new revenue. But I think this is really important to focus on your existing customers, like upselling and cross-selling are key growth levers. And we hear about 65% of leaders are prioritizing this strategy. I also think there was a lot of challenges in renewal rates, especially in 2023, kind of after the post-COVID world, that emphasize the need to leverage existing customer bases and to ensure you're selling a product. You want the customer to use it, to see its benefit, and to renew. Nobody wants shelfware. And I think the second piece of that is like customer insights. We've heard that only 27% of leaders feel confident in understanding their customer needs due to rapid market changes. So really understanding what's driving a customer. And I really think that legacy systems like CRMs are falling short here. It's got to be AI. Again, as I said, a 6,000 word conversation and the salesperson's putting like 25 words into a CRM. It's just not really cutting it anymore, I think.
Mhm. And then lastly, what are some of the challenges you're seeing?
Oh, I think the challenges will always be like it's a complex and dynamic market conditions. And there's a lot of pricing pressures and shrinking deal sizes. And people are being really careful in buying software and budgets are definitely tighter. I think the opportunities here, though, is to leverage AI to navigate complexity and to improve your insights and to use technology to streamline and align your go-to-market strategies. I think probably the takeaways would be like AI is a differentiator. Early adopters of AI report better outcomes in productivity and growth and operational alignment. And I really think data is king. Like your data needs to be clean and comprehensive data. It's definitely a prerequisite for maximizing your AI benefits. And then customer-centric growth. I mean, I think the success in 2025 for Gong especially will hinge on deeply understanding and effectively serving our customers. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Leslie.
You're welcome.
We want to thank everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Leslie, for your time and your expertise. It really, truly was great content. Um, and yeah, we hope to see everyone later this week at the Demis. We hope to see everyone next year in San Francisco at DemoFest X. And I hope that everyone has a great rest of their day. So thank
Thanks,
you all.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.